It's Wednesday. It's August 3rd. It's my birthday. It's Alexander's birthday. It's his obstetrician's birthday, or the person who delivered him into the world. Um, it's also Tom Brady's birthday. And it's a big one for Brady and Alexander because they were born on Wednesdays. So, then of course there's like the symbolic year of someone's mom was excited once that they were being born in August, like the strongest house in the solar system, and then their year was an 8-3. I mean, that's important. Um, so I got to see Alexander early this morning. I haven't seen him in a long time. And it was really, really nice to just have him, like, and hold him and just him be close because physicality is something really hard to come by. I also was looking at his nose, his profile, and I'm like, my God, Alexander. I was like, you have somewhere between like the two paintings that they just sent home from New York City of Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson and then Rockefeller. I was like, you've got this like nose thing going on with like the important people in America and New York. I was like, and so he laughed. He says, I hate my nose, Mom. He says, it's so just, and I'm like, what, perfect? I'm like, it's a beautiful nose. I was like, and it matches your whole face. I said, it's perfectly proportioned. I was like, and in case you didn't notice, I was like, not only do I have your nose, although Danny broke the bridge, but I was like, I have Teddy Roosevelt ears. Go figure. And family like expressed genes of genetics on a tree of importance that, whatever. So the little one, Anthony, this morning gave me a card and he wanted to make sure I had a ribbon. It says birthday girl on it. I felt ridiculous. I'm like, but again, he's 10 and he made the effort. So here we are. I did ask the boys to buy me one thing. I've never asked them to buy me anything in their lives. But I did make a request. I did not receive it today, but I do not know. I didn't get to see all of them, so we'll see. Um, I did ask, I never ask Lewis and Lynn. I barely ask them for anything. My birthday, it's just another day. I mean, like, it should be a symbolic, like, celebration, but it never has been. So, so I asked Lewis, I found this book on Facebook, and it is right up my speed. Like, it's just symbols. It's just symbols. It's in a script, a type script that is not what I see in normal, what they call font on a computer. I don't even know. I mean, again, there were some words in there. I have to go through it and like keep going through it so it becomes ingrained. But for the most part, it has not been. Um, they are reminiscent of symbols that my grandfather used to draw. I mean, this was his writings. He had these on his draft board. I would sit there and I would watch as he took his quill and his ink and he would sit at the draft board and he would just, I mean, like, he would, it was just like magic. I mean, it really, he just sat there with the quill and it was a different process because it was not like a ballpoint pen. It wasn't, I mean, he had artist craftsman's tools. I mean, he had palettes with oils and brushes. He had, I mean, special um, pencil sets. I mean, he had craftsman's tools. He had quills with ink and then blotting paper and all sorts of, I mean, it was an incredible honor to be his granddaughter and have time in my youth to sit there and watch him. No idea what it meant. Um, but he would speak about the stars and about how we are this now, but he traveled before me in the family, and that when he met me as a little girl, he knows that I traveled through the galaxy to be with him and to be his youth, his representative. And long after he's gone, I will still be here taking his place and doing whatever they ask of me in my life frame. The only difference is what he did not account for in whatever great society uses important symbols like this is the fact that they ripped me from him to put me out east, I guess for safety reasons, with the city turning as it was. But when the great others don't come and ask, or you don't have a hook, or you don't have a specialty, you don't have a craft, you don't have a whatever, because these are the symbols that are taught, not of my generation, that was taught to his generation before he left wherever he was in his very special schooling, that he was able to learn enlightening things in like old souls that are part of a bigger whatever. Benjamin has that quality. He did mention, I mean, I was only like 5 or 6. He did mention the cycle of life, of how he will be gone and then I will have a son. And the way that it was written was that my son, my first son, will be represented by that strength and that quality that he held, his spiritual imprint. He will carry forward the traits and the whatever, which my son has very much qualities of my grandfather. Which again, I call him the little daddy only because, again, my grandfather was my grandfather, and then I have my son. But not my Alexander, my Bija, my Benjamin. He's a completely different animal, so whatever on that. So here we are in just aloneness on the birthday once again, another year. It shows it really sucks. They did put on for me the COLOSS and the EUM. They did make a mention of the 78 for Coliseum things, because I don't know if 77's tripped up with whatever happens in that whatever that I'm not a part of. But I'm just lost in a riptide out in the big wide world of important epigenetics, but an expressed genealogy and heraldry, that the world slipped and turned and there's nobody here. Like, if you fall, who will catch you? I don't have an answer to that. I don't have like who catches me so I don't get hurt. I don't have someone. That's a problem. Especially when like 183 is tucked away in his Hollywood crowd and 183 is tucked away in Sportsman Coliseum games, and I'm stuck in the world of up Schitt's Creek with no paddle. I don't know. I mean, like, just feels like lost in the deluge of bad decisions that the three of us inherited from whatever was coming, like an avalanche that we didn't know we were being born into. and the family that I arrived to, the person that I needed, my grandfather with his magical quill, didn't speak enough English. Like he got through in day-to-day tasks of, but quietly, of caring for me if he was put in charge. But for the most part, he struggled with his English, and there were a lot of words he had that made no sense to me whatsoever. And without the repetition and with that long separation, I don't remember any of his words any longer. So this is what came on the other day with a mention of the 78.
The ultimate goal is freedom. This is an opportunity not only to prove themselves, but more importantly, to gain access to the most valued prize of all, and that was their liberty.
The only way that a gladiator was going to earn his freedom was in the arena, through his actions, by being so famous, so well known, so renowned, that the crowd was going to demand that he be free.
The path to freedom for a fully trained gladiator begins in the empire's smaller amphitheaters. This is where reputations are made.
Amphitheaters have been found in practically every large Roman settlement, 230 of them. There were things that bound Romans together no matter where they lived. One of those things was the enjoyment of violent spectacle like this. It is part of the civic fabric of any Roman city.
Being a gladiator.
Here's the 78. I don't enjoy, they took me to one basketball game, they took me to one football game. There's been more baseball games than anything, but only because my kids wanted to go, but in like nosebleed seats. One hockey game. I'm trying to think if there are any other. I just don't see the purpose in it all. I know it exists out there, but they've kept me in such isolation that I really don't see the civic fabric and tapestry that they hold so near and dear in their alliance with one another and within their built organization, because now there seems to be so many offshoots, and I don't know if they all conduct themselves at the same. Like, is this, who's considered the amphitheater? There's like boxing, there's NBA, there's MLB, there's all these other things. I can see clearly what this interpretation is based off of. But is there a hierarchy even in like that sports field? How would we know at the bottom of nothing? Just getting hurt daily. Tiger Woods just turns down $800 million for one game. I can't even get them to pay me $38,000 a year. Thousands as opposed to millions. He plays once a year, and I have to work 365 days a year. Do you see how ridiculous this is?
A gladiator was a very paradoxical thing. On the one hand, they were lauded. They were celebrities. They were sex symbols. They symbolized courage, tenacity, manliness. On the other hand, they were looked down on. They were held in contempt.
See, now that's I'm stuck in this paradox at the moment when I really sit back and behaviorally and analyze the whole grand scope of my life frame, from my grandfather's to my father's to my own, to what my sons are inheriting, with a really keen eye. And I feel like on death's door, because I don't know how to get healthy in this disgusting public health crisis New York is going through, with the lack of reliable, trustworthy human doctors. And so it says, there's this dislike or distaste of their kind, their like pronounced kind, ostentatious, I suppose.
It's not just that they were slaves. To be looked at in public was thought to be a degrading thing. So
Now that slave with like the golden handcuffs, because like I really, again, I don't feel so bad for them and the golden parachute kids. If we're doing paratrooper work, like I wanted to be in the fold. I mean, I would have put on fatigues if need be, just so I wasn't left out and on the sidelines for like, oh, I don't know, 4 decades, 3 years.
So prostitutes, actors, and gladiators all belonged in the same category.
Gladiator fights have referees and clear rules.
The referee, the summa rudis, would ensure that there wasn't too much grappling, that there wasn't too much circling without contact. Fights are normally organized between combatants belonging to the same school, so they're usually people who know each other.
Same school. Those like base guidelines are pretty helpful, especially with like, I'm not combatant, although communications and the BAT being what it is, and special forces in one area choosing the bat. I having Superman pick me up, put me on his back for a piggyback ride so I could go look at some building that they referred to as MFA, which I didn't know what that was when whatever, and I don't know how I disappeared. I don't. But things being what they are in the cosmic nursery and with the way that the pieces are falling together on Earth, it's really frightening.
Gladiatorial combat is a mixture of violence, of skill, but also of showmanship. There is an element of spectacular. Their sole desire is to appease the crowd. It's a bit like modern wrestling. It's so dramatic. The guys bleed.
I'm not a big fan of modern wrestling. Don't want to insult John Cena or Stone Cold Steve Austin. I hear that they're really two fabulous folks. But there is this martial arts appreciation. I don't know how they organize themselves under. Again, it's one of those things where it didn't happen in a sequence within a 365 calendar or like jail cell grid of whatever the Jason DJ FMAMJ calendar goes off of in Born things. I think that I got to see one person's talent that wanted me to see what their talent was. Hard for me to really connect here in this destabilized energy field, where cellular respiration, cellular regeneration, and cellular stability of intracellular is a bit difficult at the moment. Hence, whatever's going on here that's hard to heal.
He's bleeding. He's surely finished, but he continues to fight. He might even win the fight himself.
It's a myth that every bout resulted in the death of a gladiator. These gladiators have gone through years of training. They have been invested in, and you want a return on that investment.
Maybe 1 in 10 gladiators would actually die in the arena. Gladiators were too loved, they were too powerful, they were too important. It made them almost impossible to kill.
We know this because we have gladiator tombstones, where it talks about a gladiator who survived 34 wins and 10 losses. but at the same time, fights to the death are the highest form of gladiatorial combat.
What frightens me is the fact that I see them recurring this theme over and over and over again. Like, it's one thing, I mean, they give credit to the Japanese for you win, but you don't win by so much that you actually whatever your opponent. In like a loyalist and like not egotistical but ethical, I guess ethical way, or like whatever. um but nowadays it's like there's one thing with the movies, with the storyline that pulls different pieces of cosmic nursery that has big stuff to do between business office and now a whole lot of different layers, and different threads going through to keep a storyline, and then to take that storyline in like these superhero characters, and then if it's in a different market, whatever, in whatever they're doing there. I remember a very angry 6-year-old who was, or 7-year-old at the time, who said to me something about mark, the word mark. There's so much that goes into that one word in my language, which he did not like. He would not give in to the fact that he was going to get it. He was going to know what this meaning of this one word mark meant within his lifetime to save me and whatever. And I followed him through the trails of Guggenheim, trying to not interrupt because he was busy just gabbing and expecting me to, like, I don't know, but like while I was there, again, I don't know if that's like a momentary, like he just needed me as a God witness, as his American witness. I don't really know. In the two children that looked awfully a lot alike as like prepubescent, like single digits before what the world whatever took shape or took form. Um, the one thing that bothers me though, I mean the movies, I'm trying to follow along, but I'm also staying at an arm's length with. I'm only relying on certain facts that they're putting out, and then making commentary as to where I think they missed the mark. But some of the music, I mean, I've been following, they call it alternative rock. It's almost like a form of disinformation code that, being from this area, I can sit down and I can follow, and I'm like, huh, now that's interesting. If I reflect upon the 90s again, and what were they cooking and what were they trying to build in like an underground, but like very voiced on the airwaves, especially since now we're having like real problems at radiological and like this digital enhancement. I mean, frightening effects for something so trivial as music. Just put it on CDs, mail them to one another, go have concerts, go be really big and pronounced that way. I don't know why they need to enhance Telefonica in a digital package age that produces this level of UV. I don't. It's so unhealthy, and it's so unpleasant to have to try to live through. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And again, it's my 44th birthday. Alexander's 17 today.